Thanks for joining us. This is Notepad. I'm your host Ibrahim Sani. This is a micro segment during the elections where we continue to talk about the economics of elections. Very recently, Betamek Berhad has launched its IPO and it was oversubscribed by 17 times by the Malaysian public. And the Electronics Manufacturing Services Company, or EMS company, is specialized in the product and development of the customized electronic components for the automotive sector. And it is an extremely important sector to discuss because it not only touches on the automotive sector per se, but the EV industry as well, and E&E products as well. So there's a lot of sectors that this company is touching. And of course, joining us in the studio is its Managing Director, Mirzan Mahathir. Let's talk a little bit more about the IPO. Were you pleased at the oversubscription of 17 times of the IPO? What would be the signal that you got from the market in terms of its desire to to invest on a company like Betamek?
Well, certainly we are pleased because I didn't expect that there was oversubscription could be so much. It hopefully shows the confidence that the public has in our company, which is a tribute to the people that have been working there and building up this company over the past few years.
There's also that whole interest of companies that supports the EV industry, whether it's hybrid, electric, autonomous vehicles. There seems to be a lot of not just interest, but a sustainable purchasing direction from the retailers, from the retail consumers into this sector. Do you feel that this industry is only going to grow even further?
Yes, certainly. I think that the car industry is moving in this direction. You've seen already a lot of models that are hybrid, and that is really the journey towards EV. The economics is making more sense. Infrastructure is being thought of, and hopefully will be much more in place in order that EV can survive and basically thrive in that environment. And I think it's all driven somewhat by the concern about our environment and trying to lower our carbon footprint.
And of course, your company is scheduled to be listed on the ACE market on the 26th of October. Is that still on track?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Will there be any desire to move to the main market sometime soon, or is the ACE market for now is a good time?
For now, ACE, yes. We targeted ACE because we thought that it will give us a starting point in understanding how to become a listed company. It is actually a big leap for a private company like ours, to really raise our understanding of
the capital markets,
the capital markets, the governance issues, and so on.
That's the part I want to ask, right? Because you're doing so well as a private entity. Entering into the capital markets would perhaps raise the image and the prestige of the company per se, but it does drive cost up, from regulatory cost to compliance cost, and of course you have to hire compliance teams. Why list in the first place? Is it really to tap the capital markets investors out there?
Yes, I think we've got as far as we can go with regard to being a private company. We have ambitions. We want to grow. We want to invest in R&D, and we want to address the market, which is fast growing. So we need to tap the capital markets. And so this is the route that we've taken. I think it outweighs the costs involved. So we're hoping that we can continue to be able to raise funds as and when we will need from the market.
So you're planning to raise about 33 million ringgit, is that correct?
That's correct.
And of which 10 of which is going to be settling your outstanding bank borrowings. Many others are actually for working capital requirements. The one that I want to look at is the 13 million collective to be used for expanding the R&D office and of course new product development. There seems to be a lot of interest when you raise money from the capital markets and you're using 1/3 of the proceeds to build your R&D capacity. That is a strong signal to the market that you really want to grow your R&D capacity. Is that what I'm seeing right now?
Yeah, absolutely. We realize that there's a lot of skills and capabilities that are required. We need to invest in the the people. We need to invest in the equipment, and in order for us to be able to compete effectively in the market, I think it is new but going to be competitive. So we want to be in the right position, and we need the funds so that we can really structure ourselves to be able to do that.
And do you feel that this oversubscription is actually showing to your company that the desire is there from the market to see you grow even further? Is there a further plan to think about capital raising? I know you haven't even IPO, but since the demand is there, why not raise some more?
Well, basically, it is a mechanism which we are, looking to enter, right? So this is the first going through an IPO. It's obviously the first step that allows us
the biggest step, if I may add. Yeah,
of course, it avails us of the capital markets, and then we will see how we go after that, because it depends very much on when and how much we want to raise as we go forward, because it does depend on the how we look at opportunities in front of us and what are the requirements for us to invest in order for us to be able to meet the market needs.
Fantastic. Okay, we'll go for one short break. When we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more with Betamek Berhad, MD. We'll be right back after these messages. Thanks for staying on with us. This is, of course, the Economics of Election, a sub-segment within Notepad to talk about the items that surrounds the business of Malaysia and corporate Malaysia with regard to the general election that is going to take place very, very soon. In the studio with me is the newly launched IPO and perhaps even future listed on ACE Market, Bursa Malaysia company, Betamek Berhad. Its MD, Mirzan Mahathir, joins us. Let's talk a little bit more about the company per se, the offerings that you provide to the market. Electronics manufacturing services is a big word. Perhaps for those that might not be familiar with it, what do you guys do?
Well, we actually work on designing products and taking it right through to manufacturing and delivering it to our customer based on the customer's requirements. So it's not just contract manufacturing where we just take the customer's design and do just the manufacturing aspect of it, but we actually are very involved at the start, where our input is there also with regard to design and development, and then we organize the whole production so that we are able to provide the kind of quality that the customer requires and delivering the product as per their requirements.
Now, you have had a long history. Betamek has been a close provider of supplies for both Perodua as well as the Daihatsu Motor Company. Since 1994, you are considered to be a Tier 1 EMS provider for the automotive sector. And the question now is, how are you going to change the offerings that you have been providing to these automotive companies with the kind of EV solutioning that is required in the future? How is the transition going to take place? What will be some of the thought process that needs to be put in place in terms of bringing what you have in terms of history with what you need to do in the future?
Well, the important thing is the process. I think that we have gone through the process many times in order to be able to deliver product to our customer. And our team has a very strong experience in this area, and we can actually use that in order to produce products for other customers as well, whether in the automotive space, which is our main focus, as well as other opportunities that may arise in the future. As we go towards the EV world, right, we believe that there's going to be more and more electronics in the car. And as a consequence, other features may be also included in the products. And we are already seeing that actually. We were the pioneers when it came to putting MP3, Bluetooth, USB and so on into the small car. You saw it in the big cars, and then we actually brought it down and made it affordable and being able to put into a small car. We look to continue to do that into the future.
Now, nobody's going to dispute the fact that more electronics are going to be placed inside vehicles, EV or otherwise. There's also a whole conversation into how the amalgamation of, say, for instance, the EV batteries could be amalgamated versus the 12-volt battery, though I don't see any updates or news on that. There's a lot of news also in terms of ensuring that the power that is being delivered to these kind of accessories is not only consistent but energy saving. There's also another conversation of how these cars could be self-reliant, perhaps using solar to energize themselves. As you can see, there's a lot of conversation into how we can split and slice energy that is being garnered by the car, and of course it's being expelled by the car to these kind of devices. Where do you sit in terms of the supply chain of trying to find out what's needed for the EMS industry, and of course trying to make the car a more efficient car?
Well, I think the car industry is a very competitive industry, and therefore you see a lot of
margin is also very thin.
Yes, very thin, and we are trying to ensure that whatever innovations that are being developed all over the world, we can look at it and study it and see whether it can be introduced into the small car. It has to be affordable, so it sometimes takes time to be able to do that, and of course the customer has to consider whether it is something that they want to offer to the market. We have partners, technology partners, both in China and India, and their customers are, in their home markets as well as in Europe and other parts of the world. So we can tap into their, their work and their experience and see what is being developed going forward. And from there, we can try to incorporate it into the proposals that we have put in front of our customers.
The way I would like to argue on behalf of your company is that your greatest asset is not necessarily the IPs that is generated from the R&D, it's actually the people that needs to make it work. Do you feel that you have enough talent and people to execute what you need to do, particularly in the realm of R&D? Or is there a severe shortage in that department, and perhaps excessive hiring and even more importantly training needs to be done in order for you to deliver the kind of goods and services that you need for your clients?
Yes, actually we are very proud of the fact that we are a totally Malaysian company. Our entire workforce, 370 people, are Malaysian. Obviously, they vary in their skills and experience and capability. And we are focused very much on adding to that. We see the gaps and we need to fill those gaps. And the question is whether there are the people who we can access, that we can bring in into the team in order to be able to enhance our capabilities. I agree that sometimes it's difficult to find these people because I suppose it's not. These are areas where there's a lot of demand for their skills, and it's not easy to get them on board. But we certainly need, particularly in the software, the firmware part of it, where I think that we are slightly behind, and we need to bolster our capabilities in this area.
Do you feel that it's also rather effective or efficient to just hire out, perhaps even subcontract this to some markets like China and India to deliver the kind of requirements, particularly the software and firmware requirements? Or is it still more, beneficial in the long term for you to hire, train, retain in order for you to deliver this kind of value over the long term?
Yes, I believe that we need to have these capabilities, because you cannot just
subcon out.
Yeah, just when you outsource those areas, you lose the feel for what is being developed in that area. So we need to have some of this in-house, so that we can actually actively manage. Even if we outsource, we are managing the work. Them well.
We still need to monitor whatever you outsource.
Exactly, exactly. We need to do that. So we have to know. There has to be context, and our people need to actively be engaged in order to know that we are getting a quality, output from our partners.
But what about the talent pool right now? Is it rich enough for you to pick and choose the kind of resources that you need, human resources, that you need for the requirements of the company? Or is it like a dearth of talent and therefore you really are in trouble in trying to find the right talent here?
I think, there are talent here for sure. We have the skills. The issue is that, like you say, they're small in number, and we will have to pay whatever the market rate is to get them in early. But having
Sometimes
said
a bit of premium juga.
yes, absolutely. But you have to weigh the return on that investment, right?
So if there are students, university students right now, or even high schoolers, if ever they're watching my show, do you feel that there is a big opportunity for building a career in the software, firmware, software engineering kind of field?
Absolutely. We have a long history of being involved in electronics sector, and there's a lot that can be done in there. There's so many more products. I mean, just the whole IoT and revolution will create a lot of opportunities. So you really need the skills in this area. And I think if you're a young student and you're looking at getting to the technical field, especially with regard to electronics, yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of opportunity.
All right, fantastic. One more short break before we continue on with our conversation with Betamek Berhad. Thanks for staying on with us. This is a very interesting conversation to be had because in the studio right now with me is Mirzan Mahathir, the Managing Director of Betamek Berhad. They're going for their listing on the ACE market on 26th of October. And if you're a Produa user, past or present, and if you've been using models like Kancil, Myvi, Ativa, Alza, Arus, Beza, or Axia models, and you're using the electronics within it, like me, for example, when I used my Kancil back when I was in university, you might have interacted with a product that has been designed, produced, and delivered by Betamek Berhad. In the studio is Mirzan. Let's talk a little bit more about the kind of history that you have with us in the automotive sector. Thinking about it, yes, that's right. I might have been using or interacting your product over the past, 2-3 decades ago. It is a nostalgic moment. Nobody will say that a Produa car is a bad car. People just move up the line as they move up through their socioeconomic status. However, that first point of entry of Produa, owning a Produa vehicle, is a point of entry for many, many millions of Malaysians, many times over. Because of this, do you feel that the connectivity with the Malaysians out there, and perhaps non-Malaysians who are using Produa, I mean, who am I to say that non-Malaysians are not using Produa, right? Do you feel that whole rich history that you have, the tapestry of the corporate history that you have, is very important for you to hang on in order for you to build a better future for Betamek Berhad and the industry of EV?
Yes, I certainly believe that. We were very fortunate in that we got that first contract with Produa. Produa was just starting up. We are actually an older company than Produa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we started in 1989.
Okay.
And Produa started in 1994.
5 years.
Yeah, so we were actually exporting car stereo systems overseas before getting this contract. And our relationship with Produa grew from strength to strength. We are a tier 1 supplier, and we've been consistent in delivering product to them for all their models. I believe that this relationship is a mutually beneficial one. We learned a lot from Produa because this is a whole Japanese philosophy of how to manage a company.
Sorry, I want to ask you about that. Has the Daihatsu or Japanese culture rubbed off on Betamek's culture as well?
Yes, it has, certainly.
Or shaped it even?
Yes. The culture of quality is very pervasive in our organization. as is demanded by Proda, because Proda itself is trying to produce a quality product.
Yeah.
So it has to be everywhere.
Which they do,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
At that price point.
Yes, exactly.
Just to say something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the reason for that is because they manage their tier 1 and their tier 2 suppliers very well. We interact with them very frequently, and we make sure that if there's any issue that comes up in this system that they've developed, we address it very quickly and make sure there is no quality problem with our part of the of that whole process.
So the way I look at it is that process of excellence is instilled, and because of the process of excellence being there, anything that has to be remedied can be remedied within that whole process chain.
Yes.
Do you feel that that has to continue, particularly in entering a new space like EV, for instance? In fact, is Proda entering into the EV space?
I cannot speak for them, but if you look at the general trend, I suppose that's where all the car companies are going, or they'll be ending up. But just to say that we are very.
That's as good as saying yes, but never mind. Go on.
But we are prepared to support them, as they move in the direction that is the general and industry trend. Yeah.
I wish you all the best on your listings, on your listing on the ACE market. Do check that out. It's going to happen on 26th of October. I'm going to be covering that as well on your AWANI. The share price is going to be quite interesting. And of course, it's not just about the movement of the short-termism. It's also the long-term investment prospects of Betamek Berhad. Do check that company out. Thank you very much, Mirzan, for taking the time to speak with us. I really wish you all the best, and the family at Betamek Berhad as well. That was our conversation with Betamek Berhad, Mirzan Mahathir, and of course we want to talk a little bit more about some of the items that revolve around this industry, not just about the EV sector, but perhaps the automotive sector as well, and the policies that revolve around it. Do stay on with Astro AWANI as we continue our coverage on Malaysia Memilih, the general election station for you. My name is Ibrahim Sani. Catch you in the next one.